Hello friends, this video on Control and Coordination Part 22 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So with that, I'll end my discussion on coordination and control in animals because I think we have discussed well about that. Now, there are a couple of things which I have not discussed in much detail because we will take that up in our higher classes. So now we will start with control and coordination in plants. So we will now talk about the coordination in plants. Now, like animals, plants lack a specialized nervous system, nor do they have muscles. So how do coordination happen in plants? Now, when we talk about control and coordination, we are talking about how organisms respond to external stimuli like touch, temperature, etc. How does certain changes take place in animals, for example, growth? So how do these things happen in different parts of the organisms? Now, in case of human beings, we saw many examples how we react to situations with the help of nervous system and endocrine system. For example, when we feel sad seeing something, so what makes us feel sad? Or why do we move our hand quickly when we touch something which is very hot? So have we ever seen any such responses in plants? Have you, even though we have not seen plants moving from one place to animals like one place to another like animals, and that is why they do not have a specialized muscular tissue. But there are certain things which is common between plants and animals, that is growth, right? In plants also we see that the plant grows from a small seed, it becomes a small plant, it grows into a bigger plant, it becomes a big tree. So that growth happens. So how does that growth happens? There is an increase in the length of the stem, there is an increase in the length of the roots, the leaves, the number of leaves increases, the size of the leaves increases, right? So there is a growth involved. Now, in human beings also there is growth, and the growth is at specific places and the growth is controlled. Now, growth is controlled by the growth hormones, right? The endocrine system. So similarly, in plants also, there are a couple of movements. I mean, when the stem moves upwards, so that is a movement, right? So there are a couple of movements associated with plants as well, right? So plants also need coordination. So there is proper coordination between the stem, the roots, the leaves. There has to be a proper coordination. So in plants, coordination is mainly happens by certain chemicals which are known as plant hormones. Like the way we have endocrine system in human beings, similarly in plants also there are some chemicals which actually controls this coordination in plants. So we will talk about these chemicals in plants. So these chemicals are known as plant hormones, or they are also termed as phytohormones. So we will talk about the plant hormones in detail in the next few slides. Now also, when I talk of coordination, I'm basically talking about movements. Now in plants we see that there are various types of movements. So movements can be categorized into types, right? So in plants, coordination happens by chemicals, no specialized nervous system. Now, when I talk about movements in plants, one movement is related to the growth, as you can see in the first picture, where a small plant gradually develops into a bigger plant. So there is a movement, right? The stem is actually moving upward, correct? So that is one kind of movement. At other side, you are seeing a plant which is a creeper. For example, you would have seen the grapevines, or you would have seen other creepers which actually take the support of the wall and then cling themselves to the wall. So in those kind of plants also the movement is a little different. So they move taking support of some other object. So when we talk of movement, it is worth mentioning the name of the touch-me-not plant. So there is a touch-me-not plant where if you touch their leaves, the leaves get folded immediately. So there is an immediate response as well. So there are a couple of movements which are seen in plants also. So plant movements can be categorized into two types. First is growth related movement in response to an external stimulus. For example, for the movements which are needed for the growth of a plant. Now these kind of movements are also of different types depending upon the stimulus. Now what is this stimulus? The stimulus can be anything. The stimulus can be light, the stimulus can be water, the stimulus can be chemicals. Now in presence of light, the movement, the growth related movement is different. In presence of water, the growth related movement is different. So we will talk about these different growth related movements in plants. And the second category is the nastic movements for immediate response to a stimulus. So here you can see the picture of a touch me not plant. So as soon as somebody touches the leaves, it folds. So that is an immediate response. So stimulus is the touch and immediate response is the folding of the leaves. So these kind of movements are called as nastic movements. That means they are random movements. They are not related to growth. So in the next few slides, we will first talk about the different types of plant movements. Then we will talk about the plant hormones and their purpose. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.